Spark and Seed proudly presents Beyond Hun Sen, the next generation of power and politics. In August 2023, Cambodia witnessed its first transfer of power in decades when Hun Sen stepped down, paving the way for his son, Hun Manet, to assume the role of Prime Minister. Educated in the United States Military Academy at West Point and holding a doctorate in economics from the UK, Hun Manet presented a stark contrast to his father's background as a battle-hardened revolutionary. However, his ascent was a calculated extension of the family dynasty rather than a break from the past. Among the most notable transitions, Chea Serey, the son of former Defense Minister Chea Ban, was appointed to lead the Ministry of National Defense, a position his father had held for over 3 decades. Likewise, Sar Sokha, son of the long-standing Interior Minister Sar Sokha, stepped into his father's role as the new Minister of Interior. These appointments not only preserved the internal balance of power within the ruling Cambodian People's Party, but also cemented a new generation of dynastic leadership at the helm of the nation. This dynastic trend also extends to Cambodia's economic institutions. Chea Serey, daughter of longtime central bank governor Chea Chanto, now leads the National Bank of Cambodia, while Cham Nimul, daughter of former Commerce Minister Cham Prasid, has taken over her father's former post. This transfer of power from fathers to sons and daughters solidified dynastic succession within the Cambodian political elite, ensuring that all influential families retained their stake in the systems. By promoting the children of his most trusted allies, Hun Sen not only preserved internal party cohesion, but also preempted potential power struggles, effectively securing a stable foundation for Hun Manet's leadership. Despite the youthful faces and high qualifications in Cambodia's new leadership, the system remains deeply rooted in the same structures of patronage and elite control that characterized the previous regime. The continued dominance of the CPP and the retention of key figures from the old guard, including Hun Sen as president of the Senate and head of the CPP, signal that Hun Manet's government is governing under the shadow of his father. While the transition was smooth and carefully managed, it is now up to Hun Manet and his generation to prove that they can lead in their own right. Although the leadership has changed, Cambodia's political style remains largely intact. The new generation has inherited a system where power is monopolized by the CPP, dissent is suppressed, and political space for opposition remains virtually limited. Despite the 2023 national election, which ushered in Hun Manet's government, it was heavily criticized for being uncompetitive, with the main opposition party barred from participating. This suggests that political pluralism is unlikely to be restored in the near future, as the ruling elite remains committed to maintaining its control. However, Hun Manet and his peers have exhibited subtle shifts in tone and style compared to their predecessors. While Hun Sen was known for his populist rhetoric and iron-fisted approach, Hun Manet presents himself as a technocratic and reform-minded leader. His speeches emphasize efficiency, accountability, and modernization, projecting an image of a forward-thinking administrator. public statements highlight concepts like improving education, promoting digital literacy, and boosting Cambodia's competitiveness in the global economy, themes that resonate with a younger, more aspirational population. This generational shift is also reflected in diplomatic engagements and public relations strategies. Hun Manet has been active on social media and has sought to engage Cambodia's youth by emphasizing job creation and education reform. His approach to foreign policy appears more polished and diplomatic, contrasting with his father's often blunt style. These changes, though subtle, indicate an attempt to craft a different image for the new leadership while preserving the core authoritarian framework of the previous regime. One area where the new generation is eager to distinguish itself is economic policy. Under Hun Sen's leadership, Cambodia experienced consistent economic growth for over 2 decades. From 1998 to 2019, the country's economy grew at an average annual rate of 7.7%, driven primarily by garment exports, real estate, and tourism. These industries have driven growth but have left the country vulnerable to external shocks and limited opportunities for upward mobility among the population. Hun Manet's administration has pledged to diversify Cambodia's economy by expanding into higher-value sectors such as technology, agro-processing, and green industries. His government's pentagonal strategy outlines priorities that include investment in digital infrastructure, human capital development, and expanding trade partnerships beyond traditional markets. By improving education, upgrading infrastructure, and promoting innovation, Hun Manet hopes to create a more resilient and inclusive economy that provides better opportunities for Cambodia's youth. Another key focus is enhancing Cambodia's integration into regional and global supply chains. The new leadership has pursued trade agreements with countries beyond China, including South Korea, Japan, and Middle Eastern partners, reflecting an effort to diversify Cambodia's economic ties. Recognizing the risks of overdependence on any single country, Hun Manet's administration has expressed a desire to balance foreign investment and reduce Cambodia's vulnerability to external pressures. However, the success of these initiatives will depend on the government's ability to curb corruption, improve governance, and create a business climate that attracts high-quality investment. If Cambodia can strengthen its institutions and foster an environment where innovation thrives, it has the potential to graduate from its current status as a lower middle-income country to an upper middle-income nation in the coming years. Recognizing that human capital is essential for Cambodia's long-term development, Hun Manet and his peers have placed a strong emphasis on education reform and social development. While the previous administration made progress in expanding access to education, quality remains uneven and dropout rates are high, particularly in rural areas. Hun Manet has called for modernizing Cambodia's education system to prepare the country's youth for a digital economy. The government has launched initiatives to integrate digital technology into the curriculum, improve teacher training, and extend after-school programs focused on core subjects such as mathematics and science. A model school program has been introduced to set benchmarks for educational excellence and raise standards across the country. Additionally, vocational training programs are being expanded to equip young Cambodians with practical skills that align with the needs of the labor market. Social policies under the new government also aim to reduce poverty and provide safety nets for vulnerable populations. A National Social Assistance Program, NSAP, has been established to deliver targeted support to impoverished households, while efforts are underway to expand healthcare access and move toward universal health coverage. These initiatives reflect an understanding that sustained public support requires tangible improvements in people's daily lives. By addressing inequalities and providing opportunities for upward mobility, the new leaders hope to secure long-term legitimacy and stability. Cambodia's security apparatus has also undergone a generational shift, with the children of long-serving generals assuming key positions within the armed forces. Hun Manet himself, a four-star general and former army chief, maintains close ties to the military establishment. His approach to military modernization emphasizes enhancing professionalism and self-defense capabilities rather than simply maintaining internal order. A centerpiece of this modernization effort is the ongoing development of the Reem Naval Base, a strategically significant facility on Cambodia's southern coast. Upgrades at Reem, carried out with Chinese assistance, have raised concerns among Western nations about the possibility of Chinese military access to the base. While the Prime Minister has publicly reaffirmed Cambodia's constitutional prohibition against hosting foreign military bases, his government continues to benefit from Chinese military aid and training. To counterbalance its heavy reliance on China, Cambodia has sought to diversify its security partnerships. Recent engagements with the United States, including high-level visits and discussions on military cooperation, signal a willingness to explore broader defense ties. Hun Manet's strategy appears to be one of hedging and balancing, maintaining close relations with China while signaling openness to partnerships with other countries to avoid overdependence on any single power. In the realm of foreign policy, Cambodia's new leadership is pursuing a more balanced approach, seeking to repair strained relationships with Western nations while maintaining its strong ties with China. Hun Manet's first official visits as Prime Minister were to Beijing and Hanoi, underscoring the continued importance of Cambodia's relationships with China and Vietnam. However, he has also engaged with other ASEAN neighbors, namely Thailand, the Philippines, Japan, and Western countries, such as the United States, in a bid to diversify Cambodia's diplomatic partnerships. Cambodia's foreign policy remains anchored in its ironclad friendship with China, which remains the country's largest investor and development partner. However, Hun Manet has signaled a desire to avoid becoming overly dependent on Beijing, recognizing the risks of being perceived as a proxy state. His outreach to the United States, including high-level military and diplomatic engagements, suggests that Cambodia is exploring ways to rebuild trust with Western partners. By broadening its diplomatic engagements and actively participating in regional initiatives, Cambodia hopes to enhance its standing in ASEAN and the international community. The challenge for Cambodia's new leaders will be to navigate the complexities of great power competition while safeguarding national sovereignty and maintaining stability. Striking the right balance between China and the United States while continuing to engage with ASEAN and other regional players will be critical for ensuring Cambodia's long-term security and prosperity. As Cambodia's new leaders chart their course, they face several critical challenges that will determine their success both domestically and on the international stage. Hun Manet's government must ensure that economic growth benefits all segments of society by delivering inclusive economic growth. This means not only attracting investment, but also reducing inequality, expanding opportunities for rural communities, and addressing the needs of Cambodia's youth. Inclusive growth will strengthen the legitimacy of the new leadership and mitigate the risk of public discontent. To build public trust, the new administration must address long-standing issues of corruption and inefficiency, which will help to strengthen governance. Improving transparency in public services, enhancing accountability, and promoting meritocracy will be essential for creating a more responsive and effective government. Hun Manet must carefully manage internal party dynamics to maintain the cohesion of the CPP. While the hereditary succession has so far prevented factionalism, maintaining unity among powerful elites will require a delicate balance between respecting senior figures and asserting his own authority. With a majority of Cambodia's population under 30, the new leadership must address the aspirations of the country's youth. Creating meaningful opportunities for education, employment, and civic engagement will be crucial for preventing disillusionment and ensuring long-term stability. Cambodia's foreign policy must strike a careful balance between maintaining strong ties with China and building constructive relationships with other global powers. By pursuing a diversified foreign policy and engaging with multiple partners, Cambodia can safeguard its sovereignty and avoid being caught in geopolitical crossfires. Ultimately, the legitimacy of the new leadership will rest on its ability to preserve stability and ensure that Cambodia continues on a path of development while safeguarding its national identity. As Hun Manet and his peers take on the mantle of leadership, they must demonstrate that they are capable of not just maintaining the status quo, but also guiding Cambodia toward a more prosperous and inclusive future. The ascension of Hun Manet and his generation of leaders marks the beginning of a new chapter in Cambodia's political evolution. While they have inherited a system of centralized power and dynastic control, they have also been given the opportunity to shape Cambodia's future in their own image. Their success will be measured not by their lineage, but by their ability to deliver progress, reform governance, and secure Cambodia's place in a rapidly changing world. By focusing on economic diversification, education reform, and balanced foreign relations, Cambodia's new leaders have the potential to steer the country toward a more prosperous and resilient future. Whether they can rise to the occasion will determine not only their own legacy, but also the trajectory of Cambodia for generations to come.